My name is Anthony Ray Sanchez. I'm a social worker with the Georgia Justice Project. I did my internship here. I graduated from Georgia State University, and I did my internship here. And because I was so attracted to the type of work that they was doing, I decided to apply for employment here once I graduated, and I was accepted, so it was great. I'm originally from Illinois. I used to do construction work. And I moved to Georgia, and I did construction work. But because I've had my own share of difficulties with the judicial system, and just social problems in general, I decided to become a social worker because I thought my life experiences would give me what I needed to be a good social worker, okay? And so I applied to Georgia State. I was accepted, and here I am. I'm a social worker now with the Georgia Justice Project. As a social worker is one of those professions where we're defined as service providers. And at Georgia Justice Project, what we do here is we provide free legal representation to individuals accused of criminal activity. But in conjunction with that, social work puts together a social service plan. I do an assessment. I try to find out what other underlying issues that the individual is dealing with, those challenges that often push people to participate in illicit activities, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's lack of employment and the financial need says I can't get a job because I lack the education to get a job, or I lack the skills, and so I'll go with the underground economy and I'll either buy and sell stolen merchandise, I'll sell drugs, I'll do something. And so what I want to do is try to identify those issues and say, listen, we want to try to get you an education program, want to try to get you some kind of tech school, or we want to do some basic stuff around job skills assessment that says, can you fill out an application? And so sometimes one of the barriers that a person can't get a job because he or she doesn't properly fill out the application. So sometimes it's just some basic stuff. Knowing how to do an interview, okay, knowing how to be on time, and some of the soft skills that come with being able to get a job. So then we also do counseling, one-on-one counseling, because a lot of times there are underlying personal issues, family issues that a person is dealing with. Substance abuse sometimes is an attempt to self-medicate, for reasons that relate to depression or frustration or other things that result from a dysfunctional family or a disruptive relationship, And so it's all about trying to find out what it is that's causing you to have these difficulties in your life, and how can I assist you to get past these difficulties so that you can move on with your life and become a productive citizen. In terms of the way the relationship is between the social workers and the lawyers, what you have to understand is that there's a fundamental difference between what a social worker does and what a lawyer does. A lawyer takes the facts of the case and presents them to a judicial body that says, I want a resolution. The client doesn't have to do a whole lot in order to get a resolution. Social work, on the other hand, requires the client to take responsibility and accountability for moving forward with their life. Okay, I can't do anything for the client that he or she is not willing to do for his or herself. My job is not to do for the client, but to help the client do for himself. And so the difference between the attorney and the social worker is that one of the ethics of my profession is to do no harm. Okay, and so if I speak to one of my clients and he has a substance abuse concern, and me knowing that his immediate release would put him in a situation that could be have a negative influence and lead him back to using drugs, the attorney, on the other hand, says if the client wants to make bond and ask me to put in a motion, that's what I do. And so we have a conflict there. The attorney says, my client asked me to put in a motion for a bond. And I tell the attorney, I say, I've spoken with the client, and through my assessment, I've decided together with him that he's not ready to be released because of his substance abuse issues, okay? So we often are not on the same page about what is best for the client. The client may want to get out, but knowing the strong influence of substance abuse, it isn't in his or her best interest at that point, because we know that sometimes incarcerated or forced sobriety is a part of their long-term sobriety, okay? Because if they're in there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and drug-free, it gives them clean time. And so it's the starting point. It's the foundation for once they're released to continue that sobriety, okay? But if they go in there for, 15, 20 days or whatever, and they get right out, they haven't really had time to, cleanse the drugs out of their system, So that's the difference between the attorneys and I. But the good thing about it is that we both have the client's best interest at heart, and we're able to work it out so that, we want to get what's best for the client at all times. Well, a lot of times, because we're really not able to provide on-site substance abuse programs, and so through the drug court program, they're able to get in treatment programs that are tailored toward their particular issue of substance abuse. What we do here is we refer them to different treatment centers, or depending upon the severity of the usage, it may just be an outpatient or an inpatient. The drug court has a greater authority in mandating how much participation and how much treatment that a client has to receive. We can only recommend it. Okay, we recommend that you go to an inpatient program for 60 days, 90 days. Well, there's nothing to make them stay there. It's a choice, as opposed to drug court where it's mandated. I like what I do because, initially when I first started, because I've always did volunteer work in my community, okay? And so now as a professional, I have had the necessary training to do it and do it better. But even with that, when I first got out of school and started to do social work, some of the clients would relapse or commit other offenses, and I was just sort of frustrated about what I felt I was doing inappropriate or not correct in order for them to move on and be productive with their lives. And then I had to come to the realization by talking with my coworker, who's also a social worker, that my primary job is to provide an opportunity for an individual to move forward in his or her life. Whether or not they take advantage of that opportunity and do what it is they're supposed to do to be contributing members of their community and society is their choice. And so I feel good about what I do, even when it doesn't work out the way I'd like for it to work out. Even if the client doesn't come out and get a job and get an apartment and become stable, I've provided that opportunity and offered whatever assistance I could for them to be able to do that. So I do feel good. And then there's always those, as a matter of fact, just maybe 3 weeks ago, I went to one of my clients' graduation. I went to several graduations with a couple of my younger clients graduated out of high school. It's a big step. It's a foundation, for doing other things in your academic career. So any of them who are about to graduate, I always make them know that if you do succeed, I will be at your graduation, and I do go to the graduation. I put on my tie and everything, and I go to the graduation, and I encourage them, and I let them know that I'm very proud of their effort and their achievement, and they took some pictures, and it's just great. And the graduation ceremony in itself is very, very powerful and very inspiring, And actually, the client that I'm referring to went to an alternative school, and the theme of the graduations is "We're Still Standing." Because an alternative school is one of those schools where people think it's on your last leg, you're probably not going to make it anyway. But we'll put you here and give you this one more chance. And the theme of the graduation was "We're Still Standing." It was very inspiring because they did make that move forward, and they did graduate. So it was good.